person, the other person is myself. In name and shape, we are different, but there is no separation. At the root of our being, we are one. Perfectly fits, not just spiritually, but also into the theme of what we are talking here today. That is the two becoming one. You're all familiar with this from our nation, from our country. That is the Ardhanarishri, Shiva and Shakti. You can call it Adam, you can call it Yin Yang. You could call it the downward triangle and the upward triangle. You can call it the opposites. You can call it the divine feminine, the divine masculine. You could call it any opposite polarities. You can call it the Mooladhara Chakra and the Sahasrara, right from the spine to the head. It speaks about a state of evolution in which you aspire to become whole. You think you're different, but all latent potentialities is within you. These are not do not take it literally. I happen to see a beautiful video by Laletan, or Mohanlal Laletan, and he's got his Dada Saheb Phalke Award, a huge achievement. I saw one video which was shared to me by my wife, and in that he says all the roles that he did. He's done fantastic roles over the years, as a Kathakali artist, as a serial killer, as a hero, and many other things. And he says that, did he prepare for all that? Did it come from outside? And this is a beautiful thing. All potentialities existed at him, always, all the time. He just waited for the right moment for it to flower and come out, and it came out when he had the least expectation. So, why do I qualify to stand here talking to all of you today? I was just a young kid. How many people from 9th standard here? Any 9th standard kids? So, yeah, put a hand down. Thank you. Long time back, believe it, I was also 9th standard. Yeah, so I'm 49 as of today. But I was a 9th standard old kid long time back. And I have a 19-year-old daughter now. So, yeah, that time, the date was 2nd August 1990. And I was a Gulf kid, in Kuwait. My father was a senior electrical engineer there. And on 2nd August 1990, I don't know whether date rings some memories in your mind. Maybe many of you are not born out here. But it's the day Saddam Hussein attacked Kuwait. And I was a young boy in 9th standard during his, summer vacations. And I will never forget the sound. It was a sound of 1,000 thunders all at once. I never heard such a thing ever. And where I stayed next door was the international airport in Kuwait. And in war, anytime one country attacks the other country, the first thing that they do, and now you all know with ops and many other things, is that to take out the runways. So Iraqi Air Force were attacking the Kuwaiti airfields, and we happened to stay near the airport. And what I saw above me, maybe just 300, 400 meters above me, I didn't know it then, was a MiG-21, the thundering roar of a MiG-21 of the Iraqi Air Force. As it whizzed past, a young boy with his friends looked up and forgot everything about the danger, because you look at machines and those one magnificent men behind them. I got a faint glint of the helmet of the person behind, inside, a single person only in that aircraft, fighter aircraft. And I thought that guy must be God. I am telling you, it was etched in my memory like forever. 2-3 months down the line, lot of curfew and stuff, and escaping via Baghdad and Amman, and the story of airlift movie. Finally, thank God for our country. Air India took us out, the biggest airlift in history, and we landed in Mumbai. And I joined a small school not too far away in Palakkad, place called Pallav near Namara. It's called Chinmaya Vidyalaya, and I did my schooling there. But remember that image in my mind, and what we all want to do in life, right? And this is where again science and art kind of collides, because there's something within you that tells you what to do, but you can't put words to it. Well, that word made sure I joined the NDA, even though I got to engineering and medicine. I said I want to do something else. What I want to do was that there's something over my mouth and be that God which I saw faintly. They say maybe time is circular, and maybe I got a glimpse of myself in a future role, so that I get reminded what my true calling is. And the true calling happened through NDA. I joined. It's not an easy ride at all. Lost many colleagues, a lot of competitive spirit out there, a lot of things to do. missions, and I was lucky and privileged that Indian Air Force chose me to be the commanding officer of a fighter squadron, a Su-30 fighter squadron, one of the best birds I've ever flown in my life. During the Doklam crisis in Tejpur, Assam in 2015. Beautiful place to fly. It reminds me a lot of Kerala because the topography is the same. And as you climb up and just go up the Brahmaputra Valley, you can see the plateau of Tibet. And far away, when the weather is just right, you can see the heights of Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, that is China right now. But let's not forget the plot. I want to be God. Did I become him? Well, within fighter pilots, we got something else known as the test pilots. Test pilot is another breed, exclusive breed, because for me, in my mind, in that state of evolution, which I was in, my being God means everybody else should not be God. Relativity was my time, not the Einstein's relativity, but otherwise relativity. Everybody relatively lesser than me. So I'm a fighter pilot, but hey, the other fighter pilots around me, I don't want them to be God. So what do you do as a fighter pilot? You become a test pilot, which is the cream of fighter pilots. There's Neil Armstrong, all the best people, fighter pilots, they end up becoming a test pilot. Very difficult, very grueling. What's a test pilot? You take a fighter aircraft and do really crazy stuff in it, like shutting down engine, poofing off missiles, testing it to its regime. Do all the things which will make you crash, but don't crash because you're testing the aircraft to its full extent so that it's available to the other pilots to fly it for its operational reason. And in the space program, initially when any space program is made, you take the pool from test pilots. The reason is that we are used to dealing with machines which travel very fast, which are dangerous, and do experiments on them. And you take quick reactions. So, in the Gaganyaan mission, also in any developmental mission, the test pilots need to test it out, and that's all we are taken from a pool of test pilots. But I still didn't become God. I found more test pilots there. I said maybe I need to change my profession a bit also, learn something more. So I became, that's even instead of science, and me doing research there in the the hypersonic wind tunnel as part of my M.Tech for some decelerators and stuff like that. It was fun as part of ISRO also, but no, I want to be something different. So again, continuing the astronaut program, I said maybe test pilot, fighter pilots, structural scientists, astronauts. He's going to get closer to God. For some reason, we keep looking up when we think about God. He has to be there somewhere, we're searching for him. Let's just keep going up. Rather than, going by road from here to Bengaluru, is I think 500, 600 kilometers. Let's go up vertically. By the way, it takes less time, 12 minutes. This might take maybe 12 hours from going from here by road. So that's some amount of trivia. So I became an astronaut. That's me in my Soyuz spacesuit. That's our future capsule, it's mock-up, and that would be the rocket that would be taking us in the first Gaganyaan mission. And again, as a trivia which many of us don't know, is that we'll be the only fourth country in the world after first USSR, now Russia, that is instead Yuri, Gagarin. So they are known as cosmonauts. Then became USA. So when they said it became astronauts, everyone wants something different. Then Chinese said they called themselves taikonauts. We'll be the only, that's how exclusive this technology is. We'll be the only fourth country in the world to launch our own astronauts and our own capsule. That's how big a deal this is. People don't realize it. Even now, I'm saying the enormity of it because when I was missing for a year and I was training in the US, many people asked my wife, so when is he coming back from the moon? And they were not asking it rhetorically, it was literally, she was actually thinking, are they real? But then that was from the village when some people asked my mom, has Glenda joined him in the moon? Something like that. I'm not joking. And my mom said, my God, maybe it's because her son is there that she knows more about it. Maybe if her son was not there, she would ask the same question. Okay, so. And we're the fourth country, and then we will be the Gaganyaan 3. So 2 years from now, when we go out to space, we'll be the only fourth country in the world to launch our own Gaganyaan 3 to space. And people ask, why do we need to go there? Well, because we are going to write the new rules for the future that you all are going to be part of. You all are going to be up there in the colonies of the moon and the Mars. There's no doubts about it. Or versions of you which are going to be cyborgs or your AI replicas or whatever you will call it. but it is there. You can't miss it, and it's your time. And when you say your time, and now you know with all the H1B visas and everything, it's our time. And this Indian Institute of Science and Technology, I see most of people here being involved in that pioneering technology, either as researchers, as people who are contributing to economies, as new company owners, as people who will actually be going out to space or controlling the people who go out to space. And if not, and if you're just sitting there and not even directly contributing to space, you can still do a lot by just being there and giving that positive energy. Did I find God? No. It's like the story of the alchemist. You travel around the whole world and realize the pot of gold was just below you. You're not looking at the right place. So I went the entire world searching for God, and guess where I found Him? It was hiding in plain sight. The school which I joined, Chinmaya, Swami Chinmayananda donated this, by the way, it's a trivia. Swami Tejavananda told me that when I showed him this. He said a trivia that, and that was the tattva of Ayyappa, which is a beloved deity of our land. And what does that mean? We read it every time. There's a movie also made on it and all with Prithviraj and all that, right? What does it mean? You are that. That you are. We were looking, or I was looking for everything outside, and I got it at that time. Don't ask me how. I got it. There was a eureka moment. And I was not searching for anything anymore. That didn't mean it was stagnant. Trust me, from there I realized all I need to do is know I am whole and complete. We are all made of star material, we are divine. We don't have to do anything anymore to make ourselves complete. Now with that knowledge, just go out and conquer the world, because everything else is a bonus. When your parents and your teachers and your instructors tell you to go and do this and go and do that and study more and all that, they're not your enemies. They're just speaking a language that they know, which translates. Use your Google Translator to say that when they say study more, it means they're concerned about you. Are you concerned about yourself? Translate it to a different word and say that that's all they're saying. It's a different language, because in their time, studying more meant being serious about your life. Right now, I would say just knowing who you are, contemplating and looking inward and knowing that you're made of that star material. Now you can go and conquer the world. So, over here, and I say also, my mom always complains, in Kerala or anywhere, it's either in India, it's cricketers, movie actors, and politicians. So, I have to quote my wife only finally, Lena. And I don't know whether you have read this book, The Autobiography of God, and I've learned a lot from my wife also. And she says a beautiful thing in her own book, that when you love yourself, you love everyone and everything that happened to you, for they shape the person you are now. And here is the most important part. In the grand design of the all-inclusive, nothing is an accident. So if you are anxious and there is worry, it is just so that you may plan the next step. When you are waiting in the traffic and there is a roadblock, like happens most of the time in our country, remember, there was likely to be an accident right ahead in which you would have been involved, and you just have to take it slow. And that is the information given to you by whatever is it that is consciousness which is guiding you. All you need to do is just be in that moment. Having said that, you have all read also Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You all know that? The Western concept is a bit contorted. They tell you that self-actualization, or realizing your true self. And remember, we are talking about art and science here being part of space. And remember, from Mooladhara to Sahasrara. We think it's a distributor in time, and it is something aspirational to go from your bottom to go to up. Because that's what the Western society tells you. And self-actualization seems to be like maybe not even left for this birth, but some distant future. But say, okay, just somehow survive, and if that happens, it happens. Invert that. You are already there. And now you're descending down to engage with water. How can you lose? You understand? Just by you're already self-actualized. You're that material. Trust me when I'm telling you, it is from deep understanding of what I am. By I am not trying to personalize this, what we are. I'm telling you, everything is beautifully laid out in the grand design of the divine. And that divine is nothing woo-woo or anything. It's exactly you being here. I had the curve. How many people are there outside of Trivandrum sitting here right now? How many of you are part of Indian Institute of Science and Technology, whether it's the instructors or whether the students? You are in Kerala, God's own country. I travel around the world. Trust me, there's no place I travel. In fact, we are building a house in Kochi. The weather, the food, all the different kinds of cultures and religions and ethnicities and the dresses, the movies. You are living in paradise. We take things for granted. So again, why do we go to space? So that we know things like 1G and 1 gravity are important to us. Breathing oxygen. When you are in space and you are in weightlessness, the carbon dioxide that you exhale also doesn't descend or ascend. It stays there, and you might drown in your own carbon dioxide. Things which you took for granted on the ground here. Oxygen inside the capsule is so rare. Carbon dioxide which you breathe out has to be scrubbed by something